Mrs. Torres provided us with the path out. Because Mrs. Torres believed in me, I too began to believe. I chose to be an educator today because Mrs. Torres helped me see that educators possess the power to help a student transform their life and the ability to help a student like me climb out of poverty. Sincerely, Horacio Rodriguez. Matilda Torres High School opened in the fall of 2020. Unfortunately, during the worldwide pandemic, it was a bit of an awkward opening. There was excitement, there was buzz. I remember seeing students walking in and just in awe as they saw the school and looked around and could not believe the immensity of the school and the quality of it. I know there had been conversations around building a third high school when Madera South High School was bubbling up over 3,000 students when I was the principal there. When I left, the school was at over 3,300 students. By that point, Matilda Torres High School was under construction. Naming Matilda Torres High School after Mrs. Torres is something that was sort of a slow roll. As part of a board policy, our school board seeks ideas for the naming conventions of a school from the public. And so there are several names submitted, and Mrs. Torres' family attended many board meetings advocating for the naming of the school after her. And so eventually that campaign grew, and eventually the crowd started to grow around that name, and the board committed to its naming after her.
My name is George Torres, and I am a husband of Matilda Torres, which the school is named after. Just after she passed, about the following month, they had a board meeting at the school district, and I went over there with my son and daughter and asked that I wanted to put her name out to see if possibly name the school after her. I was out collecting names of people that knew her in the public, and I had people that actually stopped when they saw her picture there on the table and said, "Oh, she was my counselor," or "She was my teacher." My daughter says, "Dad, we got the name." My reaction was like blank. I heard them, but it was like, I wasn't sure. It was just so satisfying that this was going to happen.
What's interesting about Mrs. Torres is that she very quietly transformed the lives of a lot of people. And so she had a way of finding students and inspiring them and helping pave a path forward for them and removing obstacles for them and being the person who spent extra time with students. And that's one of the things that I find pretty interesting, the way she dedicated so much professional energy to transforming the lives of kids in Madera.
I was born and raised here in Madera, so she wanted to let these kids know that it was out there for them, but they just have to go get it. And so she'd always approach kids that she knew that probably didn't have the knowledge or know how to do things or where to get started. She always watched over her kids. And as a counselor especially, if there was somebody in that counseling office that she even knew or somewhere through the community maybe knew the parents and knew the kids, if they happened to have a different counselor, she would walk out and say, "What are you doing here?" Say, "Nick." And he says, "Well, you're not my counselor." He says, "Come on, I'll help you." And to me, that's what it was about for her.
One of the things that Mrs. Torres did is, when I was in high school, she was never actually my counselor. And I'm the sixth of the 7 kids who she helped. She helped every single one of us get to the university level. And what she did was, she spent time with me, and she was able to help me in the ways that my counselor actually didn't. And I remember missing deadlines and being a little behind. And the thing that everyone would say is, "You need to go talk to Mrs. Torres." And so I did. And even though I wasn't her student, she opened her doors to me. I spent hours with her. And I was able to be accepted to a bunch of universities in California. And I think that if it weren't for her making some of those calls, I'm not sure that the door would have opened for me, because I'd missed a really important deadline. The effect she had on me was, I got to see the impact one person can have. Mrs. Torres played a pivotal role in not just my life, but I know she helped thousands of kids the same way. I always reflect on the effect that we can have on people, and that effect is a lifelong effect, good or bad, whether we like it or not. We have impacts on people in ways that we can't even imagine. And I don't know that she ever imagined the effect that she had on us. I wish I would have been able to express that to her more clearly. But it's amazing the generational effect. What the decision she made literally affects the lives of my children today. And that's decades later.
Very often, I'll have somebody walk over to me and tell me that she would change their lives because of how she worked with them. It was just something special when I had people tell me this. So that was her.
I think naming the school after Matilda Torres has a pretty deep effect on a lot of us in the community, and I think it's inspiring that there are people in the community who value her, that the board saw the effect she had on so many people. When they walk in and they see this multi-million-dollar organization that's built for them, named after a person who's like them, you can't help but feel valued. And I think that's the message, that you're loved, you're valued, that we're investing in you, we're committed to you. And that's a message that I hope our students get to hear every day. And I know at this school they do hear it, like schools across our district.
All right, Toros, I'm happy to be back. And we are going to do a little chant. I'm going to teach you a little step that we want to do at all of our games.
I'm Brian Speed. I'm the activities director here at Torres High School.
Throw your Toros in the air real quick. If you know the name.
So we opened in 2020, right at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, which was incredibly difficult, especially for building culture and getting students involved and connected. And we started online. As activities director, I do a lot of the different events and things to get kids excited about school and get them interested in coming to school. And we did a lot of stuff online. We were doing online rallies, and we got as much spirit as we can have behind a screen. I would definitely say that was like one of the biggest challenges. It's so hard to get students excited about school when they're stuck at home. Once we were able to come back in person and kind of phase in, we really had to hit the ground running to get students excited. I would say the growth has been very tremendous, and it was very fast. We saw a lot of success very quickly in those opening years. I would say it's interesting coming into a district where the schools have been here for so long and they're so well established. So for us, it was, how do you create your own identity, especially coming from the pandemic where we were very limited in what we could do. So a lot of it was really just like honing in on like, what can we do that's like new and fresh and can excite students? They wanted us to blaze our own trail and just kind of create our own traditions and our own events and just kind of take things to the next level in that way. So we have a mantra, it's We Are Toros. It stands for trustworthy, optimistic, resilient, open-minded, and selfless. And that's kind of what we want our students to embody by the time that they graduate and by the time that they move on. Big emphasis on the idea of being selfless, because that really ties into who Matilda Torres was as a person and just kind of the legacy that she left here in Madera and the reason why our school is named after her. I'm really proud of where we've come from, having the opportunity to work with our students and just kind of see like where their vision lied and kind of what they wanted to create here. So we've had a lot of amazing success just in starting. It's really amazing to see like all of those different successes, and we're still a new school. So we're definitely going to go real far in the future.
School is beautiful. It's a beautiful school. I'm grateful to the community that her name was put on this school. But this school has been wonderful for the kids. A lot of good opportunities and letting them know that things are out there for them. It's just a special school in this community.
I think she'd be really proud of what we've been able to build. I think so. There's so much emphasis here at our site on just like keeping her legacy alive. And I hope she would be proud of what she sees here. I hope she'd be proud of the interactions that our educators make with the students on a daily basis. I hope she'd be proud of the spirit that we have, our athletic programs, and all of their success. Just overall, I think she would be beaming with pride.
One of the things I think that's special about a school that's named after a community member who's given so much is that it continues to provide inspiration based on the life of what that person's purpose was. So it can always draw on the history of Mrs. Torres and how many community members are in our community and actually all over the country and actually all over the world who she affected. And that legacy lives on, and it'll continue to be a source of inspiration. And I think that's unique about Matilda Torres High School.